like, oh, sorry, that's tomorrow, wrong meeting.
Okay, let me log back onto this YouTube thing because I think I turned it off. Oops. Okay.
Are we recording too?
I'm gonna do that in just a moment. Oh, it was still recording us.
Oh,
Look, it caught me digging in my ear and everything. Okay.
We can delete that part and then we start.
No, because it's live
It's live.
on YouTube.
But it was not live, right? You turn it off, the live thing?
there's
I
me talking about
stopped it.
Taylor. Hey.
Okay.
I stopped it and then I just turned it back on. I said, but it got me scratching my ear. Okay, and I'm just telling on myself now with the recording going. Stop. Okay.
Long day.
Long day. Long school year. All right. The time is now 5:03 and we will call this meeting to order. I was going to say call this meeting adjourned. I'm getting a little slap happy, y'all. Okay. Call this meeting to order. I am going to share my screen as soon as I find it. Oh, there we go. And just let me know if you need me to enlarge it, anyone. But this is our agenda for today. So we will have the approval of the SBDM meeting minutes for September 9th, 2020, as well as going special, I'm sorry. And especially going over the October 8th special call meeting minutes. Old business, we will get updates on the professional development for virtual learning continuum, school improvement plan and ATSI for EL. We'll get updates for that, as well as the targeted services plan and updates for the hybrid model contingency plan. New business will be the fall map data review. We have Ms. Ratcliffe here to talk to us about teen health textbook adoption and a review for this month. And then we have other business, public comment, and adjournment. Okay. All right. So the first thing on our agenda, we will look at the September minutes. Ms. Moore emailed those to you as an attachment. So on September 9th, when we met, we called the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. It was approved. We had the approval of the August 12th SBDM minutes. A motion to approve the minutes was made by Ms. Albright and was seconded by Mr. Anderkin. No old business at that time. New business, we talked about the budget, showed that we had carry forward funds from last year since we were not in school for the last few months and did not spend as much as we had planned. We do have extra, well, we had extra Title I funds, and I did receive an email from Mindy saying that the federal government allowed, I guess there was an allowance to carry some of those funds because of COVID-19. We talked about the reason why we had funds leftovers because the board had approved in the spring to purchase Odysseyware and Reading Plus, but we were strongly encouraged to utilize Imagine Learning, and Odysseyware was purchased by the district. And the leadership team will meet together to come up with other ideas on things to, so for purchasing items. And I just reminded everybody that if it's over $500, then it has to come before SBDM to get approval. And then the school improvement plan, we went over the SIP and ATSI, the verbiage in that CSIP that addresses the growth for our population. And we talked about the contingency plan, and I did an overview of what was in that contingency plan. And we had student achievement. We talked about how we have the universal screener of MAP. And that was administered over the course of the past 2.5, 3 weeks. October 16th is the deadline to complete all MAP testing in Fayette County. We still have several students who have not finished or even begun. Then we had no other business nor public comment, and the meeting was adjourned at 6:09. Any questions? Comments, concerns? Okay, well, at this time we will look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sear. Have someone to second it?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. All right, next, quickly, this was just a few days ago. So a special call meeting was on Thursday, October the 8th, to share with you the target service plan. And it was uploaded and shared with the middle school chief, Tracy Bruno. During the board meeting on Monday, there were elementary principals that presented their plan. Secondary has a little bit more time. And so we talked about how we would identify students who we were looking at, how we would do it, where, when, and et cetera. Any questions, comments, or concerns about those minutes from the special call meeting? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as they stand?
Motion to approve the minute.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Can I have someone second it?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Albright. All right, now we're on to old business. And let me go back to the agenda. So on the old business, in the first agenda, we did talk about the professional development for virtual learning continuum. And so the district, in partnership with UK, has come up with a plan of how UK can provide supports for principals as well as teachers to help hone their craft of virtual learning. And that is starting. They've already rolled out a few asynchronous sessions for administrators. The communication with within the committee, because I was on the committee, was to hold off because teachers had a lot on their plates. But I just wanted you to be aware that that platform is there with the partnership with UK, and they are still looking at ultimately starting to put those items, that platform of using, what is it, Navigator, to have communities so that teachers who teach the same content area can have a place to convene and talk. But like I said, that's still in the works, and they are going to start to roll that out. So I just wanted you all to be aware of that, because I know that like some staff needs some support with that virtual learning. And so I just wanted you to be aware that there's a partnership with UK and Lou Young's department and office spearheaded this. Any questions about professional development? Yes, Ms. Santiago.
So it's not credited, it's not a credit for the teacher, university credit, if it's a.
No, it's not university credit. It is professional learning, or sorry, professional development. So ideally what would happen is the teacher would do this outside of their contracted work day. So it's either participating in asynchronous videos, and basically getting that professional development, and then they can get a certificate to get PD hours.
And the intention is the signing of courses, of classes, or the intention is sharing?
It's voluntary. It's spearheaded by UK.
Mhm.
professors, staff, and they are, so remember the survey that went to teachers asking what areas do you still need support with this virtual learning?
Mhm.
Pulled that data and then started to develop professional development to support teachers within Fayette County, as well as principals, because I had to complete a survey as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, it's not for college credit. It's just, it's a partnership between UK and,
I tried.
I know. All right. Any other comments, questions? Okay. School improvement plan and ATSI for EL. So I just wanted to bring this back up because it needs to be on our agenda every month to give you updates. So just to let you know that I participated in a webinar a few weeks ago, and I was informed that Bryan Station Middle School will receive more funding, but it is in a form of a grant. And so our CSIP will need to be approved our CSIP will need to be reviewed and then voted on approval at our November SBDM meeting in order for it to get on the agenda for the board. And along with this grant application, our CSIP for this year has to be attached. Oh, and then once KDE receives it, then we should get an award letter of, well, we kind of already know how much we're supposed to get, but the funds will not be awarded to us until like January, and it's we utilize it for up to 2 years. So once that is completed, we'll start to make plans for what we will do with those funds. Like we're looking at staffing to support our EL population because right now we have 1.5 EL teachers and a heavy concentration of our EL population is in 6th grade. And as they continue to move up, they're going to need more support. So we're looking at staffing as well as instructional materials to support our EL population, which in turn could support all students.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's my update for the school improvement plan and ATSI. The target services plan. So I started to get a lot of questions from staff once, like we shared it at an instructional leadership meeting, and then at the faculty meeting last week. And I started to get a lot of questions, and I made sure that during the faculty meeting today that there was clarity in who we were targeting for the targeted services. So basically, the way I explained it, and it made more sense when I started to think of it this way. Because we have that new, I guess, gauge of whether or not we go to a hybrid or remain in a virtual instructional pattern is based on the color coding of the different counties. You've all seen that map, correct? And so the Thursday before the board meeting on the 28th of September, Fayette County was red because we had 26% of, I guess, what is it? 26% of 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. I think it's 100,000. 1 in 100,000 people or something like that. That's how they came up with the percentage. Had positive cases. So we were in red. So the board decided that, okay, we cannot move forward with taking a vote on moving to a hybrid model at this time. And at that time, they continued to talk and they said, well, when you're in red, KDE has guidelines that says that you could have targeted services. And that is indicated by the discretion of the school. As I shared with you last Thursday, thought is, okay, we need to target our most neediest population. And with that being said, it's ATSI status for EL population, special ed population, And then also this caveat of looking at our students who are performing at the 25th percentile or lower on math, and reading. And some of the feedback that I received from members of the instructional leadership team after taking a closer look at it said things like, well, map data probably is not the best to look at because, they've been out of school for so long, but that's the benchmark we have. Students were taking the test, they didn't have, adequate proctoring or supervision while they were taking the test. And my response is, but that's the benchmark that we have. And so then I started thinking, well, maybe we need to start looking at historically, how did they perform in winter versus last fall? And if we're seeing a trend with the kids that are not performing, then we need to do something for that lower 25th percentile or lower, because we got to get them to grow. The name of the game is growth. And in the tier 1 instruction, you can focus in on those kids that are at the 30th percentile, or, like I'd say the 35th percentile or higher, and get them to move up. But what about the kids that are performing at the 25th percentile or lower? So let's utilize this targeted service plan to focus in on those kiddos. And a lot of the kids that we started to identify, because Ms. Sagasser started pulling rosters of EL students. Well, they fall into that category of performing at the 25th percentile or lower, and even historically. So I felt pretty good about that. My biggest concern is that we have kids that are in these categories, our most neediest population, and they need to be at school to receive remediation and tutoring in math or reading, but we don't have transportation. So the way Fayette County has set up the system is that elementary is going to start October 19th with targeted services. Transportation will be afforded to the elementary. The week that secondary is to roll out targeted services will be the week of November 2nd. So if all things play out the way that they're supposed to, we would then have elementary in a hybrid model, possibly. And so therefore transportation would have to be utilized to transport those students to elementary. The only day available would be Wednesday. So that means our kiddos could only come to school for 2 hours on a Wednesday that need transportation. So that's where we are with our targeted service plan.
A question.
Yes, ma'am.
The target service plan, and you saying that the only way the kiddos will be able to come there is on Wednesday?
With Fayette County Transportation.
Right. For me, that's better than not coming at all.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but it's just like, it's disheartening because.
Yeah.
So we're going to move forward with getting the rosters together, creating the invitations, and there's a Google form that's going to go out to the staff to capture we're targeting special ed, math, and language arts certified teachers that can be in the building 1 to 3, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then also Wednesday after November 2nd.
Okay.
So that's where we are with the targeted service plan.
It's kind of bad because that means our kiddos is not getting the help they need because they don't have the transportation.
Exactly.
And Ms. Santiago had a question, and I was thinking about that, but Zoom, I don't know if Zoom would be a good thing for targeting services because kids, having a hard time with their regular classes on Zoom.
Well, and I think to speak to that, Ms. Santiago, you all are already doing targeted services through Zoom in the afternoon and on Wednesdays when you're asking kids to come into a Zoom to get support with making up work or, explaining to them how to post their work, because, you know what I mean? Like, that's already happening.
Mhm.
Like, listening to the support staff that are doing home visits, it's not effective for them because either they're not getting on. I know I sat in on a team meeting for 7th grade SIP, and they said that they have been, doing the targeted services or the extra support in the afternoons and even on Wednesdays. And one teacher said, the first time I pushed out the message to the families and said, hey, I need you to meet me on Zoom on Wednesday at this time, she had 0. The second time she sent it out, she had 7. She said, but I really needed 17 to be there. And I said, well, let's celebrate, because we went from 0 to 7. And I said, and I would venture to think that in the next week or 2, you're going to have all 17, if not more, because the end of the quarter is coming up.
The way that I was thinking, the idea that I was thinking while I wrote that, is that the word that I use for this year is intention. That's my word for this year. Every year I pick a word. And I'm saying that if let's say I have a student for 2 hours in Zoom or 1 hour, only that student, and I prepare material just for that student, I think it's very different that if I ask 5 students or 10 students to come in, because we already have like an appointment with them. And like if a teacher has a condition that cannot be with them, because having 10 kids in a classroom, you still have to have distance. So it's not that I'm gonna be near the student holding the pencil, telling them what to do. But like previous to this meeting, I was with a student. She was sharing with me her computer, the screen, and I was telling, okay, now you know what you have to do. And I was going with her and she was working and I couldn't see what she was doing. And that's what I wrote that, because probably we don't have an answer to all the questions, but for some kids that probably transportation is going to be a big factor. Probably that can be like a little door around for those students that you can say, oh, what you did for this student that did not have transportation. We can say, well, we had a meeting, he always, or she, or whoever the student is, right? And they had this teacher was always 2 hours or 1 hour, 2 hours a week, whatever we decide. It's just an idea that you know how I am. I always throwing ideas to see if it helps.
Right. And I'm like, you're right. And I was just saying that's already going on. Like, that's been going on since we started. Like, there are teachers like you. I know that Miss Robinson,
Many.
I mean, she was sharing that she was on Zoom at 10 o'clock at night working with a kid one-on-one. And I'm like, your business hours are 5 to 7. She was like, but this kid did not understand this problem and I needed to help him. So those are the type of things that I know. That's why I was like applauding you all so much, because I know it in pockets, but to go into a team meeting or, to get the emails from the parents, it's happening already, what you're talking about, Ms. Santiago. That's what I was saying. So, I mean, we can document that, yes, we have that in place, but for this targeted services plan, they're saying, like, because of the KDE language, it's who are you inviting into the building? Because with the KDE targeted services, when you're in red guidelines, that's where it's specific to. It can only be 15% of your population. And there can only be 15 people in a classroom because you're in red. And then when we switch over to the hybrid model, there is no guidance from KDE with the number of students that can be in a building. Fayette County has developed the guidelines saying we're going to use a hybrid model where it's AA, C, BB, and we will have a cohort A and a cohort B. And they will, try to balance out the classes as much as possible, but there's no guarantee. Like, it's not a requirement or a guideline from CDC or anyone, because the expectation is everybody wears a mask at all times. And so you could have 20 kids or 25 kids in a classroom on A day, and then 15 to 16 on B days for one period. And then the next period, you may only have like 6 kids, you know, because of the balance and making sure it's aligned with the households so that households are going to school on the same days. And so I will be working with our counselors once we get that list from district. And that kind of segues into the hybrid model. And I was going to mainly talk about how how they're going to balance out cadres. So it's just getting 2 different groups, A group and B group, and identifying them into Infinite Campus, and then working at the school level with the counselors to make sure that classes are as balanced as possible. That would be the hybrid model. So targeted is for when you're in red and you need to bring in targeted students that you feel need at the school level need support. Okay, any questions about that? Clear as mud, huh? Okay, so the hybrid model, like I said, today we are still working on that, but I just wanted to share out the information about how there's a difference between targeted services and the number of students versus, because we've heard both. We've heard through the board meeting that targeted service, you can only have 15%, or you can only have 15 to 1, or you can only have 15 people in the classroom. And then we've heard 50%. Well, the 15% is for targeted services when you're in red. When you're not in red and you go to a hybrid model, 50% is what Fayette County has indicated to balance out the 2 cohorts. And then once the students get into the classroom at the secondary level, then what we'll work on is ensuring that the classes each period are balanced as much as possible. Any questions about that? And it's still a work in progress to look for ways of making sure that students come in, get breakfast. We're going to still do the grab and go. They'll have to go straight to their first period class. And at lunch, that's what's going to be the bear, because we have already gone into the cafeteria. We can get about 40 kids in the cafeteria. 2 at a table, like you know how the tables bend in the middle? 1 kid at each table facing one direction. We can only get 40 kids in that entire cafeteria because they will be in there without masks on in order to eat. So we have to do the 6 feet and keep them away from each other.
So the students are going to be moving through the school?
Yes.
Through the classrooms also?
Yes. Because when we at the secondary level looked at, like, middle school principals came together, it's like we can't keep them in a cohort because kids may be advanced in math but need extra support in language arts. So we can't just keep them in one class. Like at first I was thinking, like you know, what you shared, and I was like, yeah, that'd be ideal. But we can't do that because there's kids at different levels. And then we would have to change everybody's schedule in order to meet those needs.
So to be effective, we're gonna depend on the parents to tell us if the kid is sick or not, right?
No, what we're doing is we have a screening. So if there is a monitor that's on the bus, if they ride the bus, monitor on the bus, then they will take their temperature. If there's anyone, and as they are coming into the building, we have the screen, the thermal screen, that can screen multiple students as they come in. Anyone who has a temperature will be pulled off to the side by that mural that's on the wall. They will stand there. They will have their temperature taken again. If it is still at 100, then we will have isolation rooms in the nurses station, as well as we're tentatively planning to use the stage, because we could put yoga mats 6 feet apart, They would have to keep their mask on and stay in those isolated areas in order to wait for parents to pick them up. My concern, what do we do when they don't pick up the children?
And the students that doesn't use the bus transportation, that the parents just drop them to school.
So we're going to have to be very strategic in the communication to our families that when they drop their kids off, like at one point we even said they have to stay in the car until their temperature's taken. And I was like, we can try it, but I'm gonna be honest. I know parents drop their kids off on Wickland. I know they drop their kids off at Bryan Station High School in the parking lot, the football field, the kids walk. So we've got walkers and car riders coming into the building. So we will have 5 people stationed at the front to take those temperatures as they're coming into the building. Anyone with a temperature of 100, they're asked to move off to the side. Temperature is taken again. If it's still 100, then they are moved to an isolation room. Parents are then contacted to come pick them up. That's the safety plan that we have thus far for entering the building during hybrid days. But we're thinking, well, we're looking at, like, we have 794 students. So we're looking at half of that each day. So it's been a while. It was before my time. I think they were down to like 500. So we're looking at 300 kids, 300 plus kids will be in the building.
So that means that transportation is not gonna give us, like, by families, like they were trying to do, tell you which students will come. The school will
They're gonna give
which
us,
students.
they're gonna still give us the list. They're gonna still give us a roster of who's gonna be on A day and who's gonna be on B day. We have not received that list yet.
So, I don't know if the other ones has question, but I have another question. I'm sorry. My question is, while I have half of the students in my classroom, right? The other half is at home. So the lesson that the teacher is giving that day, are the students at home looking through the camera, the lesson?
No.
Okay, can you please clarify?
So the guidance that I received from Bob Moore, who is over technology, he said that streaming during instruction live would create an issue with broadband and effectiveness in working with the students in front of you, trying to do both at the same time. So I'm going to request that our instructional leadership team or our curriculum and instruction subcommittee come together and start looking at some of the blended learning material that has been shared with principals through the principal page to come up with the best way of targeting our students who are not in school while you are teaching face-to-face. The model that was shared from Bob Moore was that those kiddos would at home would have like a recorded video of a lesson or working asynchronously while they're at home. And then the kids that are in front of you, you're working with them.
So that means that the next day, the ones that are at home, because we only have half, they come to school. So we will be repeating the class that we did the day before with them. And
so,
then the others.
Well, no. So it's not the same model that we have right now for virtual. So you would have group A 2 days in a row. And
half
then,
and half.
right. And then group B would come Thursday and Friday. The same lessons that you did on Monday and Tuesday, you would turn around and do those with the kids on Thursday and Friday. But the kids at home would be working asynchronously and moving on that way. And then Wednesday could ideally be the day that we set up, to have scheduled Zooms where kids can come in and say, I need support. But like I said, these are all tentative ideas. we haven't ironed anything out yet.
Is there any way we can get volunteers? Because one of my biggest concern is one factor that we cannot control is the kids going to the bathroom. Because there's no way we know how many kids are already in the bathroom, how many kids are in the hall.
You can't control how many kids go to the bathroom. We will have supervision in the hallways. And if there is someone in the restroom already, you can only have one child in the restroom at a time.
Okay.
And
For
we're
400. Mhm.
going to have to be very vigilant about the people coming in the hallways and being at their supervision duties on time the entire duration, and having those notes in their subfolders so that the subs are aware as well.
So I got a question at
Mhm.
what Miss Santiago was talking about. So he's saying that they can't teach via Zoom or whatever while they're teaching the students there?
He mentioned about broadband because when you think about it, we will have every teacher, we'll have 100% of the teachers in the building with 50% of the kids. So if every teacher is trying to Zoom at the same time, while there are, let's say, I'm just saying this, there are 15 to 20 kids in front of them, then it would cause issues with the broadband. Like, for example, the day of my instructional leadership team meeting, I came in that morning, internet was down. So we had to wait. And I missed part of my instructional leadership team meeting because we were waiting for the internet to reset. So that was the guidance given by Bob Moore, who's over technology, that it would create like a broadband issue if we had 100% of the teachers in a building trying to Zoom at the same time.
Okay. I was so hoping that they would be able to do that.
And then with the board putting out the caveat, because originally the communication was you do VLA or you do hybrid. And when we come back, or not hybrid, you do VLA or NTI 2DL. And then when we come back, you go to hybrid if you're not in VLA. Now it has been presented, well, what if parents don't want their child to come back? Well, can't they just stay in remote? Well, that's another layer that we have to figure out what to do, because if kids are still in remote and we have 100% of the teachers back in the building, who can then provide synchronous learning while they're working with kids in front of them?
I was thinking about math. Math it's one of the subject area that we have to explain because it's about process and thinking. And because I don't think that all the teachers have to do Zoom live all the time. Explaining, like if you're doing science and math, which they have to explain a lot, that will be more effective for them. Like do a survey. I don't know. I'm just thinking other ways that probably we can solve other problems, because I don't think all teachers will be Zooming all the time unless there's a lecture and stuff that students can be doing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me put you on that committee to work on that, because right now we're still trying to get through the targeted services plan and do hybrid at the same time. And the district has, working with the teaching and learning department downtown, they are working on a secondary instructional plan for hybrid. I just received an email, I believe it was Monday, requesting for teachers to provide feedback. I try to be equitable. I gave 2 teachers from Spanish immersion, 2 teachers from traditional, and an elective teacher to give feedback. So Carrie Heisey and her office will be in contact, if they haven't already, with the teachers, and they will be getting information about what the secondary instructional plan for hybrid may look like, because elementary received one and they discussed it during our district leadership meeting last Wednesday. All righty. So that's old business and targeted service plan and hybrid will be on there probably next month too. Okay.
Mhm.
On to new business. If you don't mind, if it's the good of the group, could we table fall map data review since the window has not closed? Because I want to update my my data sheet with the red and green and all that jazz on it. I want to update and make sure that I've captured all of the students, because when I did this originally, I gave it to each PLC and asked them to do a data analysis and answer some questions. And they gave some excellent feedback. But I just feel like for the good of SBDM, I think you need to see true numbers with more students. Is that okay to table that?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So we will table fall map data until our next SBDM meeting. Okay, next on new business is the teen health textbook. Okay, Ms. Ratcliffe, you're up.
Hi, y'all. Okay, so I don't know if you all printed off any of the stuff or if you're going to be looking at it, but I had 3 proposals for the teen health books. Most of y'all don't know this, and probably Miss Kirby doesn't either, but we have not, the exploratory team, had any money for textbooks since 2005. My textbooks are from 2005 only. I have books for my 6th and 7th graders, mainly because Jesse Clark was going to throw theirs away and I went and picked them up, or else I wouldn't have a classroom set. I don't have a classroom set for my 8th grade. And that, on top of everything, brings me to this. I would like to propose that I get a subscription for the year for the 2021 teen health books. There are 3 proposals. One is for the books alone, which comes to $3,812.40. I don't want the textbooks alone. With this whole virtual stuff coming into the school, the kids can only bring their Chromebooks. I don't have an online textbook. This is something completely new to me, but I am ready to dig in and do the whole, you don't have to touch anything until there's a vaccine going on here, okay? The proposal I would like is the one that's the most expensive. But it's also going to provide me, after this year is up, 45 textbooks that I can use specifically with my 8th graders, but also use it with my 7th graders. A lot has changed since 2005. Like HPV, there's the vaccine for HPV now. My current textbook that the kids learn from say that there's only one vaccine for an STI, and obviously HPV is an STI. There's lots of treatment. The new textbook talks about COVID. It talks about SARS. I mean, none of that was out when I purchased these books in 2005. But the one I would like is the 45 textbooks, and with the Teen Health Standard student bundle, that's the books as well as the online books, and I can do all the stuff online, and it also includes 135 more subscriptions, so it gives me 180 subscriptions. I typically have 30 kids a class, and I teach 6 classes a day, so it's 180 kids every quarter. That 180 subscriptions, I am considered the institutional code holder, so I can, after every quarter, erase those kids' names and issue 180 new kids to my list in order to use these books with them. The new textbooks, the online ones, they have videos that go with them. They have the concept mappings, and I don't know, I've had issues trying to get everything, visually for the kids, because I do the stuff now, obviously on Canvas, but I use the Google Drive stuff to create my documents, and it only allows for like one text box every line, so it's hard for the kids to get the big picture. With this online book, it has the stuff that I can just go ahead and upload. It has things that can translate in Spanish for some of the kids. Has like the reading section. It has all sorts of other supplementals that I can use to help build their knowledge on the content. And then the third proposal is the one that's just online subscription. Again, it's only a 1-year subscription, so I won't have like anything tangible like books after the 1 year. And it is the Digital Student Center 1-year subscription, and it comes to $3,099.60. And I would also have, you know, be able to use all the online stuff that I was mentioning in the bigger thing. I just won't have books at the end of the year to use for my 8th graders and supplement with my 7th grade curriculum. Also, these textbooks, even though I'm saying that I want to use it for 8th grade, I could, since it's online, I do things sequentially in my class anyhow. So I don't teach the same unit every year. I teach completely different lessons for 6th grade than I do 7th grade or 8th grade. So I can still break down this book and use it right now with my 6th grade, with my 7th grade, and with my 8th grade. I'm just, you know, it would benefit all grade levels, and I can teach from this one book for the rest of this year. And then when the subscription is up, I can then use the actual textbooks in the classroom later. All right. That's it. I would love for you all to consider any or all of these. The second one was the one that came with the 45 textbooks and an additional 135 year-long subscription. It's actually 180 online subscriptions. And the total was $6,454.35. Again, we've not had any money for textbooks since 2005. Just putting that out there. I know this is a lot that I'm asking for, and it's just going to end up giving me 45 textbooks in the end. But for the next year, I would definitely utilize this, and it would be a whole lot easier for the kids, I believe, once we learn how to work with it in order to get things done and turned in. And I won't have to scrabble for extra supplemental stuff for them.
I feel like you need books. I mean, I haven't had books since 2005.
None of us had. Let me just say, none of the exploratory team has been offered any opportunity to buy books. We were always told that there wasn't money for that. And then, of course, I talked to other schools. And again, it's not this administration. It's the past administration. I know.
'Cause I didn't come on board.
I know that. But I'm saying the previous administrators in the building consistently told us there was never a textbook adoption, that had stopped that. And then I find out from other health teachers last year that that was not the case, that they had money, that there have been textbook adoptions for exploratory teams. And our team have just been told no, that it wasn't there. It was used for other things more than likely.
So Ms. Kirby, have you had anybody else come to you about books or anything like that?
Has anyone else come to me? No. Ms. Sear shared with me a request, but it's under the $500 range, and I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. So I'll be talking with her about that. But this is well out of my preview to just approve. So I'm not saying, you know, one way or the other, but I'm just letting you know. So I have not heard from other elective teachers that needed textbooks. And anyone who's going on my 4th year here, anyone who has come to me and said, hey, we don't have this, we don't have that, I'm like, let's make a way. Because I remember, like, what was it, 2 years ago, Radcliffe? Like, the health department had this curriculum that they were adopting, and they wanted to partner with schools, and they did a whole presentation, and we were like, I think at one point we said we had to hold off on it because some of the information was kind of risque.
Yeah.
I mean, with today's everything actually going virtual anyway, I'm like, even with this virus going on, sooner or later, it was going to have to go that way anyway, as far as learning with both digital and book. I'm a person, I do both. I like to learn from both. I like to have a book. Then if it's easier for me to get my work done online, I like to do that. I like to have both. That's how I learn.
Mhm.
So I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
I
You
will
all would
say
like
this.
me to exit or
No,
so y'all
you're
can talk
fine.
about it without me?
No, Radcliffe, you're fine.
Okay.
But because I am an old history teacher, I will give you the historical standpoint on the funding provided to Fayette County schools. And the last big one was in 2015, 16 range, because at my previous school, we had so much money, we were like, okay, we're just going to divide it up among teams and they'll have to figure it out. And they had to bring in their ideas. So it is a disservice. I feel that the community that we and the students that we work with, that we do need to have up-to-date materials, and we in the day and age and with the 21st century, you're exactly right, Ms. Cooper. I agree with you on that we do need to have a more streamlined and virtual way of providing instruction, because think about this, like we have math, science, we're doing a pilot for social studies, and what other content area? Math, science, social studies, and what's the language arts? Oh, I almost forgot. And language arts is all virtual.
Yep.
And I mean, like kids have access to it. So if kiddos are absent for a prolonged period of time, guess what? We can push out information. They can go to their watch, click on stuff, and it's there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, health is important. When you look at the demographics of our school population, they need to be aware of the nutrition, which is something that comes through in Ms. Radcliffe's class, as well as life skills. They also need to be aware of, the up-to-date health concerns
And treatments. Oh my gosh, the treatments for heart disease and cancer have just, and AIDS. What's happening with AIDS is just, amazing right now. And my textbooks are so archaic that they have like really.
And I would so much like
data
for them to have like online materials as opposed to drawing pictures and hanging them up in the hallway.
My pictures are great. It shows their art skills. I just want to put out there for you all. If the $6,000 option is just too much for you all, like we don't have that, we can table the actual book purchases for a discussion for next year, and we can look at the option of just the digital for $3,099. If you feel more comfortable with that amount of money at this time, and then I can just propose next year for the books.
Here's my thing. I'm all about kids having both. Even as the PTA president, I look, and when somebody comes to me at something, I'm always ready, willing, as long as we have it. And I just feel like if we have it, why wait till next year to get one thing and not the other?
Well, I just didn't know what the budget is like right now. So
well, I will tell you this, committee. If we are going to move forward with this, we need to do this now. As I have told you in the past, 4 meetings that we've had, some of you have been on the committee since last school year, how we are with our funds, and that it's not going to be the fat cow that we're dealing with right now. So I'm just saying.
I'd like to milk the cow.
The only thing I want to add, because we all want the best for the kids, it's that if we make this decision, we have to think of the next year, because I don't want, if we're going to provide them the online and the book, let's say for an example, we have to think that Ms. Radcliffe will need amount of money for the next year, because we will be continuing for the online thing.
My question is, like, a lot of times, like these, what are they called? McGraw-Hill distributors.
Mm-hmm.
If you do more than 1 year, sometimes you get a discount.
they had a 1 year and a 6 year subscription. And if you got the 6 year subscription, they, and it's significantly higher.
I could imagine.
But that, you know, whenever they update it, we obviously get the new updated version for the next 6 years also. If,
Mhm.
but
So the subscription for online is 1 year, but then you would have the books.
yeah, we would have books after the subscription is over.
We don't know how long we're going to be virtual or how long, like some kids may come. We're going to have a lot of kids that's not going to come in the building.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then how would they learn? You know,
I mean, my thoughts are this. Yes, I agree with you, Ms. Santiago, that we need to think about the future as well. Is there any way, Radcliffe, to go back to them and say, hey, what if we were to do this for, you know, the online for 2 more years?
Okay, that wasn't an option, but they might give me an option for that. Like when I was looking at the new stuff, it was either a 1 year subscription or a 6 year. But I will go back and I can talk with the lady and
Yeah, I was going to say,
See, for the
sometimes when
2 year.
you talk to the reps, they can work out something.
okay.
Because
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I would like to pay a little bit more and get at least 2 years
Mhm.
of online, because we're starting in October. That means you probably wouldn't get this until November, December. So
Next
Yeah.
quarter.
you would have access to the online December 2021, then the subscription would be up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this make sure that we have at least 2 years, and then, you know, we will revisit in 2 years.
Exactly.
Okay.
Every other year.
Because in 5 years, y'all need to start thinking about it, a principal. Just saying.
Because we also have the KDE funds that you're saying that we have also that is going to come in also later on.
Correct, in January.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What?
So with the targeted service, or not targeted service, the
ATS.
SI indication, part of KDE's regs states that schools that are identified as ATSI would receive funding to move kids out of that indication, or that school out of that indication. So it's a grant application style, but our CSIP is tied to it. And that's why, and then like the money would, we were told that the money would then come in like January, February of 2021. And we have 2 years to use that money.
But you have an idea how much is, or they haven't tell you the.
They told me, what I won't say KDE told me,
Mhm.
say that people in Fayette County that were on the webinar with me were speculating based on the money amount that was given to CSI schools, and they scaled back a bit.
Okay.
It's
So he's going to check about 2 years and willing to pay a little more for 2 years with the books and the online, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Because I remember I had to negotiate movie. Remember the movie thing that
Mhm.
we had to pay for the movies?
mhm.
I had to negotiate to get 2 years to get it cheaper. I remember that. So I don't understand why would they 1 year and then jump all the way to 6 years? There's got to be something in between.
Well, I just emailed her. So hopefully I'll get a response by the morning.
Okay, and if you do get a response, then is everybody okay with a special call meeting? Because I want to move on this.
Yes.
At least by the next quarter, then, you know, we could have this stuff ordered and at least get the online. And then,
I'm ready to go on it now. I just think the kids I think the students need whatever they can get.
I appreciate that. So,
And if she has the online stuff, she has access to recreate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and recreate the online stuff, you know, as needed for the future.
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's true, Miss Sear. Thank you, ma'am.
She's so smart.
All right, so we are gonna wait for word from Ms. Ratcliffe from the distributor. whether or not we can get 2 years for the online and the 45 books.
Mhm.
You think 45 books are enough?
Well, I only had 45 books of each grade level starting in 2005. I'm down to 14 now with my 8th grade. So it's been,
Okay.
15 years. So
Okay.
I've only got 8 more years and 6 months and about 12 days. So,
How's that possible?
Lucky you. Mhm.
I taught in Florida for 3.5 years.
Oh.
And then I was
Well, I
out
was
of
thinking-
area when I came back to
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Okay. I was going to say, because like I said, I threw that shameless plug in. You got about 5 years left, guys.
Yeah, I count that.
Abby goes to high school. We both will graduate middle school at the same time.
Nice.
Awesome.
Lord willing. All right. Thank you, Miss Radcliffe. And
Thank
like
you.
schedule a special call meeting to get that approved, and we'll get it.
I will email you as soon as I know something.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Our next line item is, I gotta stop sharing my agenda.
Budget.
Budget. So guys, hold on. Let me go back to sharing my screen. I think
Mhm.
this out. Remember last month and I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Okay.
I don't think you're recording. Oh yeah, now I see.
Where did it go? I need to go to Google. Am I in Google? Oh, I'm in Google. Okay, can someone please tell me how to get rid of this thing that moves around every time I try to? I don't know what happened. It's gone.
Find it first and then share.
Huh?
Find it first and then share. Maybe that'd
Mhm.
be easier.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Okay, now I need to go back. Thank you, Miss Cooper. Look at that, guys. Boom, I learned how to turn it around so you don't have to look at it sideways. But how do I move you all so I can see it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is our section six budget for October. So in the first section, we're looking at library totals. Right now, she's at 8,500 in total funds available for the library. Remember, we talked about the principal section is not my money. It's just funds that are from the office stance, like classified overscheduled wages, like for the overtime, registration fees, copier rentals, post office PO box rental, food, non-instructional, non-food services, for like staff meetings and stuff like that. Equipment, supplies, materials, fees and dues, and contingency. And this is what I wanted you all to see. We have almost 20,000 in contingency. So just keep that in mind. We've seen some requests, so just keep that in mind, okay? And then we also have carry forward, which is almost 30,000 because we did not do our spring activities because of COVID. So the district allowed us to carry forward more this year. And so we will receive that the end of November, 1st of December. So those that amount of money needs to be spent this year so that we don't lose it. Okay. And then the next one is for the registrar or regular instruction. And we're roughly at 19,730. Out of this section comes things for certified sub salaries. You know, in the past when we would send staff members to professional developments during the school year, then that would pay the money for paying for their sub would come out of that pot of money. And then we had to have like the employer Medicare, teacher retirement, all of those little things that come under payment. And then workman's compensation, we don't have anything in those areas. And funding can be shifted into that as you can see when it comes over here. And then general supplies, we're at 15,000 right now. We started out with 15,000 in our original budget. Right now we're at 13,744.19. And periodicals and newspapers, 1263. Supplementary books and study guides was put in there. And that is the Scholastics online, because we are in virtual, and we would normally have teachers who requested Scholastic for Spanish immersion as well as on the traditional side. And so they are utilizing the virtual or online component. And then we also have the 1,000 in for awards for at the end of the year. So our grand total of our available budget is $70,353.86. So that's where we are.
Good, great job.
You've got so much that you have to spend before the end of this year.
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, the carry forward is not on here because we don't get access to that until November, end of November, early December is normally when it's put into our Section 6 money.
Okay.
I just wanted you all to keep that in mind. And I emailed you a copy of this. It just came out right. Oh, you got it. Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Because I couldn't at first figure out how to turn it around. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to email it really quick. But so we do have money.
Yeah. I just can't believe she's had those books since 2005.
Yeah. Like I said, it was probably like I think it was my second year. Like I remember like the health department or somebody was like, they wanted to partner with schools and they came in and presented to the SBDM. And then I remember, oh, she's still on here. Miss Radcliffe. She gone?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Remember when, because you were on SBDM at that time.
I was. I remember sitting right there and listening to it, and I'm like, oh, heck no.
Yes. And you
No,
were
I
like,
was-
let's table this until I get some more clarification. Because
Yeah,
it's sketchy,
it wasn't.
one-sided.
Yeah. I
was
spoke
not-
to some UK professors that taught me, and we discussed everything, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, it was.
Extremely liberal, and I'm a Republican, but I'm kind of liberal too. But that was like way, way like, no, I was not going to have that in my classroom.
Yeah.
No.
And that is, I'm so proud of you, Miss Radcliffe. I'm so proud. Look, only Miss Radcliffe and a few know what I mean by that, because she has learned to filter, and I'm so proud. It's the pearls.
I try. I'm my inner Barbara Bush.
Yeah. But so that's why, I mean, even back in 2007, 2008 range, that's why, we thought we were going to have a new curriculum. We were going to have the support. And then, that was not a viable. So I just feel like, to hate to the dead horse, and we know we're going to, move forward, and get more information, but we've got to have curriculum. We have to have text. I hate to say curriculum, but we have to have textbooks. We have to have materials that are up to date, that's going to give correct information to our students.
And I will say
Our
these
students are
new
suffering.
textbooks also include because part of our standards now include responsible dating and how to talk about date rape and how to report that kind of stuff. And I don't have anything in my curriculum like that. And I wouldn't know how to begin to talk about that. But that is a section in the new books. So it would, and me having used the teen health books for years, I know that it's how they approach things is very well done. And, it would help, help me teach that in the curriculum too. So, yeah, putting that out there.
So we'll get an update and we will have a special call meeting if we need to.
Tell her you need 2 years at a good price.
So basically what I'm hearing is Miss Cooper's going to call them,
Yeah,
muscle them,
I will.
giving you 2 years at a cheaper price.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Radcliffe. You can stick around because this is a public meeting. We are now to the point of other business. And I just wanted to share this in other business. It wasn't on the agenda. It was something that I just had to pull together because I was helping Mr. Castillo because he had to complete the information for the Spanish consulate. And so are you all ready for this? We have 794 students enrolled at Bryan Station Middle School as of today at 328.
Wow.
You ready for this? Spanish immersion, a total of 372. In sixth grade, we have 142. Seventh grade, we have 125. Eighth grade, we have 105. And hold on, let me pull it up. Because I even broke it down a little further because I was just showing off for Mr. Castillo. We have 155 males in Spanish immersion versus 217 females in Spanish immersion. And then on the traditional side, we have a total of 422 students total. We have 149 sixth graders, 146 seventh graders, and 127 eighth graders. And for some of you who, and I think all of us have been, we have been here 4 years or longer. My first year, remember that first meeting and I was like, hey guys, get ready. We're gonna have like 750 kids and everybody was losing their minds. And I was like, I came from another school that had like 1,100 and I was like, oh, that's easy. Like we can handle that. And everyone's like, no, we can't. But we're still growing.
Mm-hmm.
Building capacity for students is 800. We're at 794.
Just need 6 more.
No. And look, the way Kathleen keeps finding them, her and Chris Young at DPP, we might be at 800.
We have two more supposed to be coming this week or next week.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Is this the school that is growing more faster?
Yes.
Know that? Oh,
But you know what? Here's my concern. Once they build the new middle school out in Polo Fields, I don't think it'll affect us as much. But I think it will affect Crawford. They inadvertently affect our Spanish immersion program. You know, getting families from the Liberty feeder pattern to commit to the immersion program instead of going to the middle school that's going to be built in Polo Field area. That's what I speculate.
Do you think you'll lose Spanish kids? That?
I mean, possibly.
we have Cardinal Valley also, which is.
Yeah, I mean, we have Cardinal Valley, but like already we've had 7 students to exit Spanish immersion and majority of them were in 6th grade. And it was Cardinal Valley because historically they have gone to Leestown and they have siblings or relatives that have either gone through Leestown or are presently there.
Mhm.
So families feel more comfortable with what they know. And then because Leestown is closer to Cardinal Valley, I think that's another reason why.
We
I
try.
was just gonna say that I live in this area and we are zoned like for Crawford. Of course, there are the Liberty kids and, you know, they come on, most of them will come to our school, but our Liberty kids, some choose to go to Edith J. Hayes also, but the numbers are so low, I don't think it's going to affect us as drastically as you might think it would. Just because,
Yeah.
like I said, they're still zoned for Edith J. Hayes and they still choose to come to the immersion program at Station. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm gonna cut myself off now since I'm not
Okay.
part of y'all's meeting.
No, you're a visitor. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with us, with you, because we're growing.
Yeah.
So, and it's because we have awesome teachers. I'm telling you, Miss Cooper, you.
I'm going to tell you something. I was so impressed yesterday. It was awesome.
Wasn't it?
Yes, I talked to a couple of other parents. I was just blown away. I was like, they should do open house like this all the time because there were I'm like, there was no distractions from the students. We could listen, relax, pay attention. Everybody was paying attention, everything. So I asked one question, and by the time they got finished, they answered my question before Mr. Castillo said, answer your question in a few minutes, but they answered it before they were fit. I was so impressed. I was like, you need to do that. Just do that. Whether they go back to school or not, that's the way y'all should do open house, especially for the parents. It was so easy. I'm still at I'm just like, that was awesome. It was.
I'm telling you, I was very impressed. And for them to do it 2 nights in a row, I was very impressed.
It was awesome.
And just like you saw how awesome they are through that presentation, watching them, it's almost like, it's not like giving birth because that was rough. Okay, but it is. Okay, it's like giving birth because this summer I had staff that were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I don't know what this means. What's the next step? What are we going to do? How is this going to work? Well, I don't know how to do this. Well, we were using Google Classroom. Why do we have to move to Canvas? And I'm like, it's okay. We're grace. And I mean, I was like, it's all right. It was like Lamaze. And then it was like, then school started. And it was like, okay, we gave birth. Well, it's painful, but we're going to get through it. And it was just, and now, like, I go through, like, what we're doing with the admin team, we're rotating every 4 weeks. So I started out with electives, and they were doing social emotional learning. And the elective team has been awesome about it because they put their curriculum on the back burner and bought into, yes, we need to focus on social emotional learning to support kids as they come back from summer and this being locked up at home. And because they're still at home and there's trauma going all around them and triggers all around them. So, I mean, these teachers are really getting into it. And I'm not just saying this because Melissa's still on here. Melissa has a gift for gab and getting kids to talk. I kind of tracked this kid because I watched this 6th grader in Melissa's group. And then she's on Spanish immersion side. She doesn't really say much in her immersion, core classes. But in Melissa's class, this kid was like, yes, Miss Ratcliffe, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're doing a great job. And
is that my helper? The girl I said is my personal helper?
Yes.
I love her.
And then now I'm able to go into the 6th grade classes and I'm like, oh my gosh, amazing stuff. I mean, and their energy level is like up there. You could not tell that they are stressed and they don't know what in the world they're doing, but they're just plugging along. Like they're up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like at the beginning, like I believe Miss Albright, Miss Duncan, and Miss Rose, they need a tiara every day because they became the TRTs, the tech people. They were like, they had Chromebooks. Like I came in one day, they had Chromebooks. They've taught themselves how to troubleshoot for our kiddos. Because at the district level, they told us, oh, we'll just give out the 381 help number. Kids and families were calling that line and they were like, oh, well, it just rings. So the families were calling back to school and everybody's just, I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed with everybody.
I am. I'm just in awe of everything. I mean, even last year when they shut down, teachers, they jumped in, they did what they needed to do. It was new for everybody. And then this year it was just 10 steps up.
Yeah.
No, they were 10 steps up and everything is like so smooth. Even like when I watch Emmanuel's classes and I'm like, okay. But yesterday when they did their presentations for the parents, they went with stuff that I didn't know. You know, kids don't like telling their parents stuff. So there was stuff that I didn't know and I'm like, okay. And I thought in my arms, I'm like, oh, okay. And that's what I was saying out loud.
Good.
I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
And I'm glad you said that, Ms. Cooper, because I said the very same thing to my leadership team. I text them and I said, you know, I started getting emails early on from parents saying, I'm concerned about the rigor. Why is my kid only online for 3 hours a day and they're done by noon? And I'm like, wait, it's not free time in the afternoon. And it's not a free for all. Like I had a parent tell me, we jokingly call it Xbox Day. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't be Xbox Day because there's work to be done on Wednesday. Yes, Ms. Radcliffe.
I think we're actually getting a lot more done and a lot more taught to the kids because there's less distractions.
Yep.
Like in a regular class day in the classroom, I'm redirecting constantly, probably 15 minutes worth of the classes, redirects and trying to get the other people to stop talking and disrupting the class. This virtual, I think a lot of the kids, high learners and low learners, are getting a whole lot more information in a little bit of time simply because there aren't the distractions right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing the answers that these kids are putting on their papers and turning into me. And even the kids that struggle with typing and putting, you know, their thoughts into words are succeeding. And I don't know, I was very skeptical with all of this. Like I'm not a technological person, but that the parents shouldn't be worried so much about what they consider the rigor because their kids are actually learning a whole lot more and they're getting a whole lot more information because they're not distracted. And the kids that are usually like ADHD, they're muting themselves. So all the noises, all the tapping and stuff that they do, you're not hearing it. And it's not, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm telling you, I am loving it. I'm loving it. Teachers are doing, you guys as teachers, you're doing awesome. You're doing good too, Miss Kirby. You're doing a good job too, Miss Kirby.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was not looking for it.
No, I'm because you have to look at the head. That's what I always say. It's the head when it goes down to the people. So if the head is willing, the people are willing. I'm just saying the teachers are doing an awesome job. You should be proud.
I am very proud. And I have to be careful because I don't want them to think that I'm being sarcastic because I really am not. Like when I went into their team meetings today, I was like, and I'm sorry, Ms. Sear, I didn't make it to yours. I'm so sorry. But I mean, and she held her own yesterday. I mean, she was running that meeting and everything. But you know what I mean? Like when I compliment them, they kind of look at me like, is she serious? And I'm like, yes, I'm very serious.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. The presentation.
Like, honestly, I'm on recording and live. I don't know if anybody's watching live, but whatever. I would enroll Abby at Bryan Station Middle School. Like, seriously. And she has been saying, I want to go to your school, mommy. Good luck to y'all if we actually.
Well, that's 797.
Well, she's only in third grade, but she
Oh,
could come
dang it.
now and fit right in with the seventh graders because she came to school last year and stood next to a sixth grader and she was taller than the sixth grader. So,
She was taller than me last year.
yes, 5'3". Yeah, she's 5'3" in third grade.
Wow.
My child's taller than you now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I'm like, anybody in seventh grade and beyond, yes.
All right, ladies. Well, I am finished with other business. If all clear, the time is now 6:27 and I will call this meeting adjourned.
I second it.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Ms. Cooper. See
Night.
you guys
Bye,
later.
guys.
Good night. And I will share
Bye.
this recording with Mr. Anderkin so that he has that because he has all the documents and everything. And he's sorry he couldn't be here. But I just told him.
Mr. Ratcliffe, get on your job.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.